Get ready for a voice of breakthrough, faith, and transformation. Amplification coach and author. Jennie Potter is passionate about helping people move through limiting beliefs, fear, and negative mindset, guiding others to rise with vision, faith, and powerful daily habits. A message rooted in healing, clarity, and becoming. This is Jennie Potter.
Hi, Jennie.
Hi, Celia. Thank you so much for having me today. I feel so calm after that little message. That was wonderful.
Did you like your little promo
I
piece?
loved it. Yes,
know.
thank you. Wonderful.
Czar's been a master in making those.
Yeah, incredible.
Well, I'm not kidding when I think you are like a magician. You're like magic. I can't even describe it any other way. And it's what you do, and what you do, you make it look easy. And I know it's not easy, and you are driven by your empathy for other people because you see it when you help them. You start crying when they're sad. You feel all of that. It like blows me away every time we work together. But so I really wanted to have you on because what people think about themselves, those little self-sabotaging thoughts, those things that, tell people, I can't do it. I don't know why I think I can do it. That I'm not them. I'm not, someone like that. They compare themselves. It stops a lot of people in their tracks. So, for this conversation, Jennie and I are just going to talk together and we'll get some information out about what Jennie does. So, Jennie, first, I want to ask you if you would to kind of tell people what you do and what brought you to do this.
So thank you for that introduction. And I'm going to tell you, you said that I make it look easy, and you're sure it's not easy, but it is easy. But here's the thing. We have not been taught about emotions. We haven't, when we, as children, and this is why I love what you do, Celia. So I'm so excited to be on here with you because, and you and I have had wonderful conversations about this in the past. If you can teach children and parents how to deal with their emotions and understand their emotions, there's so much transformation that can happen in a moment. And so I do have the gift of feeling other people's emotions. And actually, I can teach other people how to do that too. It's just kind of like the piano. Some people sit down. I had piano lessons for years. I still can only play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Other people had, piano lessons for a month and were incredible on the piano. So I sort of, with emotions, when it comes to emotions, I just naturally understand them, feel them. But you can too. And what I usually like to share with people that is very helpful, because our topic here is understanding and neutralizing reactive emotions. And this is near and dear to my heart because as a child, I was raised in a wonderful home. We had wonderful experiences, but my father had a temper, and it was kind of random and a little unpredictable. And I can say a million wonderful things about my dad. He's passed now. But one of the things that he never really got control of was neutralizing his reactive emotions. And I see how that impacts children. And I would even say that for a long time as a child and then as an adult, I refused to be angry. So I made this decision. I will never be angry. And I repressed a lot of my anger. Additionally, when I met my husband, my now husband, he had 2 children. And so we were Insta family, 2 kids, goldfish, cat, husband. And I didn't know how to be a parent. I had really only been single and lived on popcorn and toast. And all of a sudden, I was a stepmom. And so what I noticed was that my dad's voice would kind of rear up in me when the children would do certain things. I noticed that they triggered, it didn't really feel like me, but it did feel like how I was raised. And so, my background is in counseling. I love exploring why we do what we do. And for various reasons, I went on a deep dive of how and why we show up the way we do. And one of the key factors, and I was actually working with people who work in business, entrepreneurs, like they know what to do to be successful, but they don't do it. This is like you want to lose weight and you want to go for a walk every day, but you don't go for the walk. Why don't you go for the walk? You feel better when you go for the walk, but you don't go for the walk. So that's what kind of started me down the rabbit hole of exploration, is like, what causes people to self-sabotage? And what I found was a few factors, and we won't get into all of them today. I found that people naturally go on autopilot. Like there's things our brain likes autopilot. It's easier. And we have this filter setting. So that's involved as well. But the third thing really blew me away. And that was, we have unprocessed emotions, what I call unprocessed emotions. You'll hear it, them called repressed emotions is probably the most common, stuck emotions, trapped emotions, but I call them unprocessed emotions, and most adults have them, and children have them too. In fact, we can even inherit them. But just to keep it simple for today, and I will show you a very simple method. So at the end, Celia, remember to ask me to show you how we can walk through a very simple method to clear your unprocessed emotions or your repressed emotions. Because many of us have been carrying around shame, anger, resentment, guilt, sadness, depression, anxiety, multiple versions of, in many different ways for many years. And when we have children, the children can often trigger unintentionally this old unprocessed stuff. Okay. And so if you look at emotions a little bit differently, even you might have never even thought of emotions other than just how we talk about them, but an emotion is actually a vibration. And that's really important to understand when we talk about unprocessed emotions, because an emotion being a vibration takes on a different quality. So if you just imagine, Celia, that an emotion is a pulse. So let's just say you go to step out onto the street, out of the corner of your eye, you see something fast moving. Your kidneys pulse the vibration of fear, and instantly a whole bunch of magical things happen. Okay. Like chemicals are released, cortisol is released, neurotransmitters, it's all instantaneous. And you step back off that curb because your kidneys pulsed the vibration of fear, which let your whole body know, hey, we got to be careful. Our emotions are kind of like when you program in your phone, you're going somewhere and your phone will tell you, okay, stop sign coming up, turning right in 400 meters or whatever. And so our emotions are actually just signaling to us that it's time to turn right, turn left, take a stop, take a break, danger, happiness. Not all emotions are bad. So we have joy emotions. Every emotion has a different vibration. So what happens as children is oftentimes we are not allowed to express our emotions. And so we push those emotions down. We resist the emotion. We don't express that vibration. So in an ideal world, we allow the emotion to rise up and out, kind of how you feel joy bubbling out. You can experience joy bubbling out, like when you're laughing so hard, you have laughter. But other emotions, that's the dream, is we notice them and we think, oh, what's this emotion telling me? Most of us, though, are living in chronic guilt, shame, irritation, resentment, but because we haven't released that emotion. So that vibration is just constant. How I see it in my mind or when I talk to people is that it's almost as if you have a whole bunch of songs playing at the same time. So I have what I've coined the your UPE score. This is your unprocessed emotion score, and every adult has one. And most people have around 250. Now, I have worked with people that have 4 unprocessed emotions, and I've worked with people that have 2,000 unprocessed emotions and everything in between. But I will say that most people have around between 250 and 300 unprocessed emotions. So if you imagine you walked into a room and there was 300 songs playing, and these songs were sad songs, angry songs, guilty songs, shame songs, irritation songs, and all of these songs are playing at the same time, some louder than others. So when it comes to when we're talking about children, oftentimes children will trigger in us the stuff that we didn't deal with that our parents did unwittingly to us. Maybe you were raised in a family where the child was to be seen and not heard. Maybe you were raised in a very unpredictable, emotional household. There's all kinds of emotions, of course, and many of us do not process those emotions as children. And so what ends up happening is that as parents, our children can trigger that. I mean, even if we don't have kids, we get triggered by things that people say, videos we watch, things that happen, life experience. And sometimes when you have an experience, you'll notice that not everybody in the room, even though everybody's experiencing the same thing, will react the same. And that's directly because of unprocessed emotions. Okay. Like if the boss says, okay, I want everybody to work harder today. One person's feeling guilty. Oh, he knows I haven't been working hard enough. I think I'm going to lose my job. Somebody else is like, forget that. I work hard enough. I'm not going to work harder. I'm going to work less. Somebody else has a different reaction. That's because of our unprocessed emotions. And so when it comes to neutralizing those emotions, the first important piece is to understand what an emotion is. It's a vibration. It's an alert. It's guiding you. There's danger. A boundary's been crossed. Okay. It's guiding you. It's telling you, it's giving you information. I like to say it's the soul communicating with the body. This is the soul's way of communicating with the body. This is the subconscious's way of communicating with the body. And so if you can understand that and then become aware of your emotions, you can actually help those emotions move out. And so I don't know if you have any questions or if you want me to just keep going because I could talk forever on the subject, but definitely this just the understanding alone that emotions are a vibration can be super powerful.
Well, I so identify with what you're saying, and it's so common for parenting to also judge emotions, like judge the emotion. Like you hear it all the time. They're having these are the hard emotions, indicating that they'll say big emotions. That's what they say, big emotions, indicating that there are big emotions and little emotions, which I say emotions are on a level playing field. They're not big ones. There's not like these big ones and these little ones. They're all just emotions. What is big or little is the way we respond to them.
Yeah.
And like you say, children, they don't have that. It's not built in. We're born with emotions. We're not born with any ability to regulate them or respond to them. And that's what a parent has to learn. And if a parent doesn't know how to do that, there's no way a child can.
Yeah.
And it's so true. I feel like it's all those voices in your head that are like telling you, the body's trying to keep you safe. And like you said, comfort's always much easier. It's always harder to step out of your comfort zone than to stay in your comfort zone. And I think that's what people don't have the guts, or they'll say, I don't have the confidence. And I always say, well, confidence is built. It doesn't come first. The tiny steps you take build towards what you want to do, builds that confidence. So how, when we constantly repeat the behaviors we don't want, like you said, they want to exercise and they don't go. Like, what do you think keeps us from doing what we say we're going to do this? I'm going to do this every day at 10 o'clock, and I don't do it. Like, is that fear? Is it some weird fear like, I'm gonna, like, I wonder if somebody's like, I'm gonna prove myself wrong, or they're just defeated. Like, what does keep us from moving on and past that like wall?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're referring to like self-sabotage, like like, I'm going to do this thing and then you don't do the thing, even though the thing feels good. Is that what
Yes.
you're,
Yeah.
So what usually happens is an old emotion is triggered from the past that there's a belief or an emotion, and beliefs are a whole other ball of wax, but they also have a vibration. So every word has a vibration. And so if we believe we're not worthy of being healthy, which seems like a funny thing to say, but many people feel that they're not worthy to be healthy, or maybe when they were healthy, something happened to them, something bad happened, and their subconscious has connected that dot. But when we talk about children and big emotions, and parents and big emotions, and then reactivity, I think the most important thing, and I know we're talking about the day of calm, so this is for everyone and not just parents. I also know your heart for parents and for children. And so what I would say, no matter where you are in your life cycle, whether you're a child or you've done the parenting thing or somewhere in between, if you have emotions that feel like you can't control, the most powerful thing to do is to become aware and name it. And you can help children do this. You can say, okay, what are you feeling? Those big emotions, whether the parent is having them or the child is having them, what are you feeling right now? Oftentimes as adults, we'll have this extreme response and it happens so quick and we don't even know why. Like, why did I have that extreme response? And so that extreme response, when we're talking about reactive emotions, it's a trigger. It's an old unprocessed emotion. It's that song playing on the radio that just got really loud. And many people will have that same reactive emotion over and over and over again. And so I can show you a really simple way, and you can teach this to your children, no matter what age they are. You can teach this to your kids. You can teach this to your grandkids. You can teach this to your friends, to your spouse. Hey, okay, by the way, I'm just going to make this one thing. When you do talk about emotions, don't do it in the moment when everything's emotional. Because when we are emotional, one of the things that happens is the area that kind of deals with memory and things usually is flooded and you can't remember anything. So it's better to do this when you're in a good space. Like, hey, I noticed the other day we got into an argument, or things got heated really quickly, or you got super upset when I said XYZ, or I noticed you got super angry with Susie when I didn't feel mad at all. Because sometimes, I don't know, many people will experience this when they first start parenting, where they will have this extreme response and their spouse doesn't care. Right. So I could give like a really simple example. If your spouse was raised in a household where you never stand in the kitchen and eat, you have to sit at the table, and then someone else was raised in a household where you could eat wherever you wanted. Okay. And so child walks in, grabs a piece of toast, butters it, starts eating it. One parent gets super angry. The other parent is like, what's your problem? Okay. So that kind of reaction is usually that small little thing has triggered this big why, probably because the person who's reacting was trained or yelled at or taught in a difficult way not to stand in the kitchen and eat. So the best thing to do when you notice your own reactions, it's the simplest to deal with your own first, your own reactions, is to just ask yourself, what am I feeling? So this is the alarm method, and I'll walk you through it, but essentially it's an acronym. So awareness, what am I feeling? Just awareness. Some people walk around irritated their whole lives and they never name irritation. I was guilty for the first 45 years of my life because I had inherited guilt as an energy. And when I released that, and you can do that, I'm going to show you how to release. So if you've been walking around feeling resentful, or you always feel left out, or you feel like everyone disrespects you all the time, or maybe you just feel always a little sad or a little angry, okay, we can identify this and clear it. And so A is awareness. What am I feeling? Now, when we're talking about sabotage, to go back to that, like, I know I need to go for a walk, but I don't do it. You can use the alarm method for that as well, where you notice, well, what am I feeling right now? When I go to put on my shoes and I don't want to, what's the underlying feeling? When I procrastinate, when I don't pick up the phone and make that call, when I eat that bucket of ice cream, what's the underlying feeling? As soon as you become aware of the feeling, you can release it. Because and then I'll tell you the alarm. But the key here is that you experience the feeling, but it's kind of like a smoke detector. Okay, so your body's like a smoke detector. So it senses smoke, but it doesn't know, is it burnt toast or is the house burning down? So if you experience an emotion and it's old, it's an old trigger, it's an unprocessed emotion, your body experiences it the same. It's smoke. And your body doesn't know if it's burnt toast or if the house is burning down. So the first thing you can do when we're talking about reactive emotions is ask yourself, okay, is the house burning down or is this burnt toast? And that's a very neutralizing question, just that. Then what am I feeling? So A in the alarm method. What am I feeling? L, locate it. Where in my body do I feel it? And that's kind of a funny thing if you've never thought about it before. But where do you feel anxiety? Do you feel it in your tummy? Do you feel it in your head? Do you feel it in your shoulders? Do you feel it in your chest? Most people will say in their chest or their stomach, but some people feel it in their knees. Okay, where do you feel it? Do you feel it in your shoulders? Everybody feels emotions slightly differently, but you know what sad feels like. So where do you feel sad in your body? Where do you feel anger in your body? And some people will immediately say in my head or in my chest. Some people are very connected with this, but if you're not, it's okay. Just practice. You can literally just, okay, I feel anxious. How do I know I feel anxious? Oh, I feel like a funny feeling in my tummy. Okay, so A is for awareness, L is for location. The next A is ask the question, when have I felt this before? Now you can skip this step, and with children, I would skip this step. But when have I felt this before? And oftentimes you will have the most bizarre memory pop up, like when your brother broke the lamp and blamed you and you got in trouble, or when a colleague said something cruel to you on Facebook or in a meeting, or when you didn't have the right shoes for a basketball game in high school. So sometimes memories will pop up. If there isn't a memory that pops up, that's okay. But it's a great question to ask because oftentimes you can get to the root of the unprocessed emotion. So A, awareness. What am I feeling? L, location. Where am I feeling it? A, ask the question, when have I felt this before? And then the next step is R, and we're going to just relax. Okay, so first we're going to relax the physical area. So your stomach, your chest, your head, wherever you're feeling it, consciously relax that area of your body. half the time, that will neutralize the emotion. But we're going to do the full step is relax that area. You can breathe a few times, okay? A very calming breath, which is great for the day of calm, is in for 4, out for 8. In for 4, out for 8. This is very calming. This is a great breath to do as you're falling asleep or if you're feeling upset or angry. So you can breathe, relax that area, and then you can do this motion and you can do shoulder to wrist. And I do it almost like you're wiping away spider webs, okay? Shoulder to wrist, shoulder to wrist, shoulder to wrist. You're clearing that emotion. So with intention, clearing anxiety, clearing anxiety, clearing anxiety. You can do this 3 to 10 times. You will notice that you feel lighter and that it's a little bit easier, that you may not have fully processed, but that you've helped this emotion move through. And that is the intention. Okay. So awareness, location, ask the question, when have I felt this before? Relax, release. And that's my unpacking method. I call it unpacking. And then for M, we just replace it with a mantra. Okay. So how do we want to feel? And this is really powerful for adults, but it's also amazing for children because we're helping them become aware. Okay, I'm feeling this emotion. I feel it in this part of my body. I'm relaxing this part of my body. And now, how do I want to feel? I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel happy. And kids are good at this. Kids will tell you right away how they want to feel. And so, as soon as we tell our brain, I want to feel peaceful, you will start moving towards that. So I always like to we unpack, okay, and then we pack. So we're going to just same action. Now, some people like to do this. It's okay. You can do either movement. It's more about anchoring in the intention of the new emotion. And so we anchor in peace, anchor in peace, anchor in peace. And so that's the alarm method. It's super simple. If you do it with children, skip the ask the question and just show them awareness, location, where are you feeling that in your body? Okay. And then just relaxing, releasing. And kids love this, right? They're wiping away their feelings. There's a reason why this works. But, for time purposes, we won't get into all the nitty gritty of it, but it's super powerful for you to just unpack and then what you want to feel. And again, children love to name how they want to feel. And it's a good shift, but it's a great shift for adults. So if you're feeling reactive in any way, right, and you don't want to react, because here's the thing, when I first became a stepmom, I'm like pretty calm by nature, pretty easygoing, wake up pretty happy, and all of a sudden the kids would trigger this part of me that I almost didn't even recognize, Celia. And I had all my counseling skills and all my tools, and I used them. Okay. But most parents don't have those tools.
Right.
And so I would use them, but I was like, what is going on here? Why am I so mad? It'd be the simplest thing. Like I'd say to Hannah, like, hey, can you clear the table? And she'd say, yeah, I'll do it when I'm done this. And I would be like, I would feel this rage rising up in me. It was unrecognizable, not who I am as a person, not my nature, but it was old, unprocessed stuff. So once I was able to clear that, I just don't get that anymore. And so again, this takes time because most people have around 250. But if you can educate children and parents how to access this, recognize it, and clear it, it does feel like magic, but it's not magic. It's science.
It's, I teach parents to that fire alarm you're talking about, your amygdala in your brain, like it has a built-in 90-second reset. If you can talk yourself out of whatever reaction you're going to have and give it 90 seconds, it resets back to calm, and that whole process, if you master it and you teach your kids, works. because you reset that amygdala. It gives it the time. And talking to yourself, it's so important to have that conversation. I just love that you say, how do I want to feel? This is how I feel. How do I want to feel? And that conversation alone, is so regulating. And if you just allow yourself to react and respond in any way you want to, usually you're going to feel pretty bad at the end of it. You're going to feel guilty, and you're going to feel, responsible, and you're going to feel like, oh, I didn't want to be that kind of person. I didn't want to be that kind of parent, that kind of teacher, or whoever, whatever role you're playing. And if you can master this simple system of alarm, you become who you want to be. I mean, I'm willing to bet most people don't want to be angry. They don't want to be irritable. They don't want to be aggressive. When I ask parents how they feel after they yell, 99.999% of parents say, I feel guilty.
Yeah.
I feel terrible that I've yelled, but I don't know how to stop.
Confused. Like they don't know why. They don't know.
Exactly.
They don't know how to stop. And what you teach, that 90 seconds, you gain that 90 seconds when you ask yourself the question, is the house burning down? Or is it burnt toast? Right. And then walking through the alarm will give you that 90 seconds to just check in. Where am I feeling it? And what am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? When have I felt this before? Now, when have I felt this before? You can use that. You can throw it in or out. It's not the end of the world if you don't use that part. Sometimes in the moment, that's more of a exploratory question. And don't do it while you're driving. Because I've had like big.
That was me the other day, and you're like, I'm not going to talk to you while you're driving.
Yeah, but because sometimes you will have a emotional response to that question because you're tapping into something old. But usually it just feels lighter to release unprocessed emotions.
Yeah, it's so important. And what's funny is people have a mixed feeling about it. And, that's why we teach during this summit how important calm is. That calm doesn't mean you're weak. It's not a flaw. I had a conversation with one of my parents last night, and she was saying to me that I felt guilty because in the heat of the moment, I just needed to walk away because I was going to explode. And I felt like I wasn't approaching what needed to be done at that moment. And she goes, and then we felt better. And later on, I talked about it, but I didn't address it the moment it happened. And I said, actually, you did exactly what you should have done. Oh, there's a message from Dr. Matthew.
Cool.
You should have done exactly that. You should have walked away. We talk about energy all the time. If you sit there and scream and yell at somebody or with somebody, you're not getting anything accomplished. And it is literally a waste of your time and energy. Yes, you may be approaching it the second something happens, but what are you accomplishing? You're a mess now. Whoever you're dealing with, whether it's a child or another person, is now a mess, and you've resolved nothing.
And the other thing is too, I mean, and I had to go through this myself because there were times where I reacted. There were times before I knew these tools, there were times before I understood why I showed up the way I showed up. And so it's really important to just be in the now and, okay, this is how I have been, and this is what I'm working on. And this is my new story of who I am and how I show up. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool stuff. I love what you're doing. I love this day of calm. I'm so excited for you to just keep spreading the calm because it's needed. It's so powerful. And it's just such an honor to connect with you and work with you and be in your world.
Well, thank you, Jenny. I really appreciate you being there. If anybody has any questions, they can put them in the comments. you're just calm yourself, like you hear your voice. And I imagine people would agree with me that you're very calming. You're just that people tell me I have a calm voice, and
Mhm.
I'm totally amazed by that because that's one thing I never thought I had.
The funny thing is that so I did Self-Sabotage No More in an audio, version, like Audible, and my mom listens to it to fall asleep because my voice is calming, and I'm
See?
like, "Mom, maybe you shouldn't tell people that." But it's I definitely do get that feedback that I'm calm or calming, and so, yeah, I love that, and you have the same. You have the same.
Luke has a question for you. Can you see it on screen?
Yeah, I can see it. I actually haven't. I tend to work with entrepreneurs and focus, we focus on self-sabotage. So why am I not showing up this way? Why am I scared to pick up the phone and call someone, sales or bigger, months financially or whatever. So I don't actually normally work with trauma, or with founder syndrome. But of course, I'm always open to working with people. But specifically, I have just because of the way my life has gone, I work with entrepreneurs.
Um, okay. So, Jenny, thank you for being here. Is there any final words of advice or piece of information that you can advise our listeners and watchers? They're watching too, watching and
Mhm.
listening.
Mhm.
On if they're feeling like, oh, there is an emotion I deal with, there is something I deal with day after day after
Mhm.
day, and I can't figure out what to do, and I have just, I've just, decided that this is the way it is, and this is how I am, and I'm never
Mhm.
gonna change, and blah, 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 what we tell ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, don't tell yourself that.
I know, and it's
You
easier
can
said than done, but
the first thing I thought when you said, "Is there anything else?" is just you can change and you can control your emotions. And if you believe that you can't, just shift that belief right now because you actually can. You are in control and your emotions are there to help you. It's a guidance system. And so, but sometimes that guidance system has like a glitch in the programming. Okay. It's like old programming that you're responding to. It's like you updated your phone and something is not correct. It's a little bit like that. So, this is an old program. And so, if you can you can very methodically use the alarm system to clear each and every emotion. Also, in my book, Self Sabotage No More, I do walk through a few other methods that are a bit more efficient, but you have to learn some skills. You could, if you're into this or this is a big thing for you, or you want to, work on your reactive emotions, Self Sabotage No More is a very simple read. I designed it so that it was quick to read, easy to use, and would help with those the basic clearing of loud emotions.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and it's important to make that point that we tell ourselves a lot of things that are simply not true. And so when people say things and I I can't speak. I in the practices of Byron Katie, if you know who she is,
Yeah, I love Byron
don't you
Katie.
just love her?
Yeah.
And she will tell you when you tell yourself something, 3 simple words, "Is it true?" And then,
Mhm,
I'll ask like a client and they'll be like, "Well, yeah, yeah, I think it is." And
mhm,
then you just ask again, "Is it absolutely true that
mhm,
I can't change this?" "Well,
mhm.
I don't really know." "Well, if you really don't know, then is it absolutely true that you can't change it?"
Mhm,
"No."
mhm.
Find out because that's what we tell ourselves lies. We
Yeah,
tell ourselves lies. And we tell our children lies, and we speak in generalities like, "Why are you always doing this?
yeah.
Why are you always lying?
Mhm.
Why are you always lazy?" When in reality, it's like, are they always lying? Have this child never told the truth? Have they never gotten up and done something?
Yeah, it's a good rule of thumb to never use always a never.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Exactly. And,
oh, well, thank you so much.
they do it all the time. Well,
Mhm.
thank you, Jenny. I've really appreciated your time and having you on. Absolutely get Jenny's book because I've gotten it and I've read it and it's excellent. And what Jenny said in the beginning, that you can teach yourself to do a lot of this, is so true. She's not hiding her methods. She's teaching you. So
Mhm.
thank you, Jenny. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And I will see you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me, and have an amazing day of calm.
Thanks. Bye, Jenny.